welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here on the VIP Collective. For people who are watching and listening, why don't we talk a little bit about who you are and your background story?
I am Tara. I have Tara McMullen Photography. I've been doing it for 11 years now. How far back are we going here?
Wow.
Because 11 years is a long time.
Let's talk the snippet of your business right now, and then we'll go back.
Okay.
So you're 11 years.
So yeah, I'm 11 years in.
Wedding?
I currently, yes, I do weddings, portraits, families, bebes, you name it. If it's human involved, it's happening. I've also recently started a new brand under Tara McMullen Photo called Mighty Creative, which is meant to help smaller businesses develop their brands. So like better branding stories, but also creating like really beautiful images for their social, for their website, etc.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, well, we'll dig into that too.
Because like I wasn't busy, so I just wanted,
right?
I just needed something else.
I know.
You know, done.
Let's do something different.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the summary.
Yeah.
Now let's go back.
Okay.
So let's get back to the beginning.
The beginning.
So you were born.
I was born in 1980. Scarborough. Yeah. Now you all know how old I am.
So when did you start photo?
I was always into photography, but I do not have that like cute romantic story where it's like in high school, the only thing I had was the darkroom and me, and like, no.
Yeah.
No idea. Flew through high school, got into university. I was always a super nerdy kid who didn't feel like I had any creative abilities whatsoever. I just thought,
weird?
yeah,
you always
so
think
weird.
that like people who are creative always feel like they're not. I'm like, no, you are
idea.
So creative.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I couldn't draw. I couldn't paint. Like I liked writing poetry, but it was all very like, emo. It was the 90s. Times were tough. And then in university, I was most of the way through my PhD and bought a camera off of Craigslist.
Nice.
And I was like, what is this magic? So
Digital or film?
Digital.
Okay.
And it was back in the days of Flickr, right?
Okay.
Did you ever have a Flickr account?
No.
You're like, no, I'm too young.
No.
So Flickr was like early Instagram, but it was only online. Like you had to like log onto your computer and people would like your photos and comment. And it was before you could be like cool at something like that.
Yeah.
So people would be like, that moss is so beautiful, the way it's like climbing that whatever. And you'd be like, oh my God, someone likes my dog photo. Like it was like, and you would share like, oh my God, I'm on this like dog photo group. Anyways. I was big on Flickr.
So it was like if someone liked it, it felt really personal.
It felt very personal.
Right.
And yeah, like it was like the beginning, I think, of like an online community of people who wanted to share images.
Cool.
So I started doing that. I was feeling a real sense of like ennui with my PhD. So in 2008, I kind of like flipped my life upside down. I became a yoga instructor. I dropped out of my PhD. I left my boyfriend. I moved out of the house that we owned together.
Wow.
I was homeless. Lived out of my car.
To go the photography route or just...
Yeah, and at the same time, became a second shooter and started shooting my own weddings. So it was a big summer.
What was the PhD?
Sociology.
Oh, wow.
So I'm still in a way kind of doing sociology as a photographer, right? Like we're studying people as they behave in groups. And I think a good photographer has a real understanding and a real grasp about human relationships, and that you can like pick that like, okay, that's weird, this is working, and like lubricate those situations for our clients.
So that basically answers some of the questions of like what I want to get into with you.
Okay.
Which is your ability to connect with your clients. So I've been on a couple of weddings with you.
Yeah.
Not enough.
Yeah.
But a couple. And I remember the first one we met was in Muskoka in 2015. So it's been a
yeah.
while, but that was the first one because I was going through trying to figure out. And then we also shot Benita and Jared together in 2016.
Yes.
So we've had a couple. And I've just seen how you work with clients, and it's very impressive.
Oh,
just
nice.
that you have the ability to connect so easily with them.
Thank you.
And so I wonder, is it because you meet with them beforehand? Is it because of your background in sociology? Or like, how do you kind of work to get that relationship with clients?
I don't know. It's frequently not because I've met with them. I don't meet a lot of people ahead of time. because most of my clients are super busy, or I'm in the county, or they live in New York or something like that. It just usually doesn't work out that we can meet each other. I think for me, it's one part performance and one part I love people. I am an introvert. I don't actually like human interaction.
You call yourself an introvert? Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Like, I am an introvert. I would, like, at this moment, I could leave and go home and be like, no, I'll never think about that again. Be, like, very happy about it. Like, I really, really like my alone time. And like, I don't like being the center of attention, by and large. There's something about, I think, the combination of my training as a sociologist and the 11 years of seeing people and what they need in these moments that allows me to tap into it pretty quickly. I think I'm a pretty empathetic person, so I'm relatively connected to what people need by and large, whether that's good or bad for me, TBD. But on a wedding, I think it does help, and I think there's also just an element of being brave. Like, you have to be brave enough to put yourself out there and hope that your clients will respond with as much love as you're giving them. Like, a wedding day is a really confusing, really overwhelming, scary, expensive, but also beautiful and, like, love-filled day. And for a lot of folks, it can blow your hair back super hard. Right. So I'm trying to use what I know from yoga and from sociology to bring people back into their bodies first, and then to bring them back into their relationships.
Interesting. Yeah. A bit of yoga.
Yeah.
Like, to get people centered.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'll stop. It's actually good for me, too. I'll stop people multiple times during the day and be like, okay, deep breath. And then you see them and they're like, okay. And I'm like, okay, now look at each other. Right. Like, this is your wedding day, guys. And, like, it's just about grounding, because, like, if you don't ground every day, but especially on your wedding day, it can go by like that, and you won't have physical or emotional memory of that day. You'll just remember feeling anxious. Right. And I want people to have, like, real emotional memory. I want it to be in their body. Like, I tell people, I'm like, this is a bone marrow moment, guys. And, like, I will look into their eyes like I'm looking into yours. Like, this is a bone marrow moment. This is that stuff that when you're 50 years into this, you still want to be able to recall how that felt. Yeah. I want you to think about how his, like, body feels against yours. I want you to listen with your ears. Like, excuse me. I'm like, what do you hear? Do you hear your friends and family laughing in the background while we're taking this moment together? Like, that stuff should be alive in your photography.
That is very interesting. And that's what I see you do. Yeah. But I didn't realize it comes from, like, so do you meditate? Like, is there a meditation that you have yourself?
No, like, I should totally meditate. I'm really chill.
But you do yoga?
I don't even do yoga anymore. Do you know what it is? It's just like, it's almost become, I don't know. It feels like I'm providing a service that's required that no one has really figured out how to monetize, which is helping people engage in their life. And I only get them for this, like, brief moment, but it's my job to help them engage and have real moments. I think, like, what I've observed, and you've probably observed too, is, like, people kind of go, like, a bit blank, and I think it's partially overwhelm. I think it's partially, like, nerves, and that makes me super sad. It bums me out, because there's been so much lead up to this. They're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a lot of the time. And if they're not going to walk away with real heart memory, then why are we doing this? Right. And my why has to be in there somewhere, because if I'm leaving my 4-year-old in Prince Edward County every weekend to hang out with relative strangers, I need to know that I'm providing a service that fills my karmatic soul and also gives people something that's really special and unique that probably no one else is giving them. And that is the opportunity to build beautiful, heartfelt, real memories of their wedding day that they will remember forever. That isn't just like pretty photo, pretty photo, pretty photo. I want you to be like, I love that photo. I remember what we were talking about. Right. I'm so glad Tara reminded us to listen to that song. Now every time I hear that, I'll remember being in the field with you and listening to all of our friends in the background. You smelled so good. Do you remember how the trees were smelling? The apple trees were in blossom. Like, all of that should come flooding back when you're seeing your photos, not just like, oh my God, my hair was like so cute.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah, like creating the experience of the moment.
Yeah.
Because it does go by so fast. And people are so concerned exactly with like their hair and are they posed properly.
Right.
And then they wake up the next day and they're like, God, that went fast.
Right.
And they see photos and they're beautiful.
Totally.
When you put
but
them
do they
in the
matter?
moment.
Do they matter?
Yeah.
And like, I want to create a body of work that really matters to generations of people, because I'm very keenly aware that these photos are typically not for the couple. You know, like they're going to like them. They're going to have their photo album, and that's cool. But these photos are for their archives. Like this is an opportunity that I have to show their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren, like as we move forward, you know, as a human collective, that this was what these people look like when they loved each other. This is what your great-grandparents looked like when they loved each other. And how inspiring is that? And how can we pull that memory forward in our family, like that memory of love forward in our family?
I feel like that with video as well.
Yeah.
Like I just say, because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like the sound of my voice and I don't like how I look on camera.
Of course.
And I'm like, but at the end of the day, it is actually for your grandkids because they're the ones who want to have you with them at all times, right? And
Absolutely.
like, be able to watch it.
Absolutely.
And see stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's like when people are like, I can't cry. I'm like, for the love of God, cry.
Do what
Like
feels
if there
right.
is a day to cry, it is now.
Yeah.
Like get in it. Like get in your body, get juicy, like let all that stuff out.
Yeah. We'll
You
fix
know,
your
like,
makeup.
This is the time.
Just...
Well, fine. We'll like plaster you back together. We'll like scotch tape that shit back together. You're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You know, but like be in your moments with your people.
Be present.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting because I've seen you do it and I've seen you in action and it's really, you do a wonderful job at it.
Thank you.
And I'm always like, oh, wow, she's got them like, just like me. I was sitting like, oh, yeah.
So nice.
I get what you're saying. So.
Yeah, like when it works, it can like you feel it. Like I feel it like course through my body. Like when it's working and people are like, sometimes I'm surprised about it because it doesn't seem like I should have the authority to help people like walk through emotional stuff. But when people lean into it and let me be that for them, it's so special. And like I feel so grateful that folks will let me into that really private space with them and let me be that voice that talks them through almost like a couple's meditation for even just 2 or 3 minutes, you know, at sunset outside, just to like put it in their bones.
It's almost like a mindset that you have that you've developed over the years, obviously, where maybe you don't need to do yoga as much now because you just have that mindset that's already there, right, to trigger that. Yeah. So, very cool.
Thanks.
So let's go a little bit into when you kind of flipped the life around.
Yeah.
And so, like, that must have been
So big year.
Let's start with that, and then let's get into, obviously, because you're now living out of Toronto.
Yeah.
And so, like, how did the progression of all this kind of...
Yeah, I mean, the last 10 years have been a complete blur, but basically what happened is, you know, I started wedding photography in 2008, which was before the flood of wedding photographers onto the scene. You know, there were a few really excellent people on the scene already. There was like Mimo and Naz, Rebecca Wood, Catherine Farquharson, Kala Evans, John Edgar, you know, and like those were the people, and Still Motion.
Right.
And like, there was nobody else. Those were your people, like Story Wilkins. But there was nobody else that was kind of doing it. Mm-hmm. So I came on as Catherine Farquharson's second shooter and Kala Evans' second shooter that summer and just felt my way around. And then the next year, out of nowhere, I had 26 weddings booked.
Wow.
Like
on your own?
On my own.
Wow.
So I kind of feel like wedding photography chose me because I was not planning on doing this.
Were you advertising for those 26 or no. How did that?
Excuse me. It was just Facebook. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like starting at the beginning, I had no idea what I was doing. I had never run a business before. I was entirely overwhelmed and super scared. And there wasn't the community now where you can go on Facebook and be like, hey guys, like what about this? There was no like tutorials. There were like presets for Photoshop, but they were awful.
Right.
And like Lightroom wasn't really a thing. So You know, I feel like I've seen a lot of iterations of the wedding photography scene. And now, yeah, like fast forwarding over the last couple of years, like I had a kid in there. That was crazy.
Lachlan, right?
Lockie, yeah, my little buddy.
Is that where the name for your new brand?
Mighty, yeah.
Yes?
Yes, he is my mighty boy.
Yes.
He was always mighty.
Cute.
So, yeah, when I got pregnant, we were not planning on having a baby. So he was due in September, and I was an idiot and was like, yeah, I'll be back to work in like a couple of weeks. Like I said to my partner at the time, I was like, yeah, dude, like I'll have him on Tuesday. I can shoot this wedding on Saturday.
No problem. 4 days, you'll be fine.
So down. So, you know, I think that the lead up to moving to Prince Edward County kind of started with having Lockie and not giving myself a maternity leave in any way, shape, or form. You know, I went back to shooting when he was 3 weeks old. So, you know, I think that as women, as creatives, as entrepreneurs, as people who are by and large kind of like tenuously employed, like we never know when this is going to end. It's a really scary, stressful business to be in, you know, especially when you've been in it for as long as I have. You start to come to grips with the fact that your brides are now sometimes like 14 years younger than me.
Right.
Like people are getting married in their mid-20s.
Yep.
They're really young.
Yep.
I'll be 40 next year.
Yep.
You know, and like I still feel pretty locked into that age group. Like
Yep.
I skew younger, but I also know that I don't want to be the like 60-year-old wedding photographer. Nobody wants that girl.
Yeah.
So, you know, oh my God, if I'm still doing this at 60. So, you know, like I've had to build things into my life that remind me that I am more than a wedding photographer, which I think is why moving to the county was really important to me, because until I moved to the county, all that I was a wedding photographer. I had very few identities outside of that.
Right.
Including mom. Like mom was like a deep second to wedding photographer. And I've realized, you know, at various points during my time in this industry that it's really easy for us as people who are involved in these like big, beautiful events and feel like we're creating deep connections with our couples. It's easy for us to believe that some of this is for us, but it's not.
Right.
You know? And I think that that's where I was heading. Like I was in a way co-opting people's events as something that belonged to me to an extent. Like I was at this wedding. It was amazing. Like I love this couple so much. It was so incredible. Like we had all these feelings together. And then I would lay in bed on Sunday and be like, oh, like I still feel really alone. You know? So it's taken me some time to learn how to draw that divide between like, this is my work and I still love them. Like, and part of my work is loving them. And I kind of always will. Like, I'll always wonder about how people are doing, but also needing to carve out time that was like actually for me to make my own memories.
Yeah.
You know, I became over-focused on creating memories for other people and realized I didn't have enough of my own.
Right. Which kind of led you to going to the county, which is what kind of drove that decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now?
And now I live in the county from Monday to Friday in the summer, well, during wedding season. And then Lachlan stays with his dad in the county over the weekends. Then I come back to the city and shoot my little brains out. Yeah.
And you've got that like peaceful experience now.
Yeah.
Because the county is Prince Edward County for people who may not know, which is such a beautiful place to be, right? Yeah. So you're happy there.
I'm so happy there.
I can see the relaxation and happiness in your smile.
Yeah. It is where my soul belongs.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Toronto.
You're from Toronto?
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in Scarborough. I went to school in Nova Scotia. And I think when I was in school in Nova Scotia, I felt really connected to the water. Like I could see the Bay of Fundy from my dorm room. Like it was pretty special. And now being in the county, it makes me feel again like really connected to the water. I need open space. I need, when I've been like really overwhelmed with humans on the weekend, I need my time to unhuman myself a little bit.
Because you're an introvert.
Because I'm an introvert.
So you need some time.
I do.
Yeah.
I need big recharge time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you doing back-to-backs where like... Sometimes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to.
Yeah.
Because of the way our industry is, like exactly that. You
Yeah.
don't know,
Baby's got to
right?
pay her bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that happens twice in one weekend,
Yeah.
I can't say no.
Yeah.
Our season is short.
Yeah.
It's short.
I know. I always say, because I was in Cayman a couple of years ago, and they were it was like November, December, and they were setting up for a wedding, and I was like, you guys never stop.
Yeah.
It's like full year, which
Totally.
I'm grateful that we do have a bit of a break, because we
too.
need to recharge.
Yeah.
Like it's, otherwise you just go.
I would be so burnt out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the same. So I'm from like a very small town near the county.
Yeah.
There are 500 people, and basically grew up in a forest on a dirt road.
gosh.
And I just had my grandmother as my neighbor.
Oh my gosh.
And so for me, it's like going into a forest is like so
Yeah.
grounding. Like
Yeah.
it's so peaceful and quiet and beautiful.
Yeah.
Usually on Sundays, I like to try and get out and just be somewhere in nature that's like calming.
Important.
It's so
important. Like I think the trick too about our jobs is, we're on for 12, 14 hours sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And especially as the lead photographer, like video to an extent, but I really feel like the lead photographer is expected to be like a cornucopia of creativity.
100%. Because you're the voice of
Yeah.
the day, because you're leading,
Yeah.
your creative direction. And then you're also leading the family. And
Yeah.
you're like working with the family to make sure that you're, number one, getting all the photos, and that everybody's like
Enjoying
present and
themselves.
calm and having fun.
Oh, and I do things with
Yeah.
family where I like cue them to have like real moments with each other. So it's like a real journey.
Yep.
To get from like point A to point B at the end of the night. And like if we don't restore, I have nothing left in my well to give my clients.
Yep.
Like that restoration has to happen.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'm just going to be producing boring ass shit that means nothing to me. I'm going to hate my job, and my clients are going to feel engaged.
Yep.
So yeah, that restore time is like
Yeah.
so required.
Do you think that you could see yourself doing anything else? Or is this kind of your thing?
Such a tough question. I don't know. Like I love what I do. I love what I do. There have been difficult points in my business, but it has never had anything to do with whether or not I love wedding photography. I love it. I love the people. I love being an important part of helping them be in their day. I love making beautiful photos and seeing what people do. Like I love every moment of it. I don't believe that I can do this forever. I don't believe that people will hire me when I'm 60. I don't also
Or even
want
just physically, right?
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to carry all this gear. Like already my body's like, all right, sister,
Yep.
relax.
My dogs are barking here.
My dogs are barking. Whew. Like
County talk.
yeah, I feel it. And like I used to think that I could, that I was like, I'm a machine. I can do anything. Like it's no problem. No, that is completely wrong. It's completely false. So yeah, like I do feel like I can do other things. Like there are 1,000 things that I would love to do with my life as a career. I think that Mighty Creative is a nice starting point for some of that. I think from my 11 years as an entrepreneur, like literally starting from nothing, and building it to a business now that employs 5 people, and we do over 100 weddings a year. I think that, I have something valuable to offer mostly from the mistakes that I've made, because I have made a lot of them. But also I think from my perspective and understanding as a sociologist, like I think I have a really good understanding of human behavior. So blending that into Mighty Creative, I think could be a really awesome offshoot of the wedding photography piece when I'm ready to go hard into it.
So walk us through Mighty Creative.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay.
I'm excited.
So it's
I want to know what's going on.
Mighty Creative was born in my kitchen this winter when I realized that I had 11 years of amazing portrait sessions and commercial work that the world has never seen, because Instagram is prison and makes me feel like I can only ever post wedding photos. So I decided to release those images from their hard drives and put them somewhere. And I was like, okay, well, these are pretty. What does this mean? And when I looked at it, I was like, holy shit. Like, I'm really good at understanding people's brands, because I'm really acute at hearing what people are telling me in larger senses and then pulling out what they need from that like barf of information.
Okay.
So I've worked with smaller brands. I've worked with larger brands like Sago Mini, which is owned by Spin Master, which is like the largest toy company ever. And we do lifestyle stuff. So that's one part of it where I'm just a photographer helping small brands or large brands develop their visual content. And then there's another part of it that's coaching. So working particularly with small businesses to help folks through the early stages of their business or when you've gotten stuck. And it's not just with photographers, because I feel like across the board, small business owners run into the same issues over and over and over again. And it's typically us just getting in our own way. So I'm working with a couple of people right now, helping them to like shake off some of the shit that they're holding on to, like some of the negativity that they're holding on to about themselves, about their abilities, and moving forward, and helping them to develop like real solid, timely strategies to take their business from where it is right now into a larger space.
Amazing.
So kind of like a buddy, coach, cheerleader, friend who can, you know, like smack you around a little bit when you're being a dummy.
Yeah. And
but like,
since you're on the outside and you're coming in,
Right.
it's easier for you to see things, right?
It's much easier.
So it's about sitting with them and going back a little bit, right? Like you're going back and making sure that they don't have unresolved feelings that need to, because they can't advance until their mindset changes.
1,000%.
So you're kind of starting right from.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like,
So are you giving like questionnaires and you're like, let's get into this?
yeah,
Like what's going on?
it's like part therapy a little bit too,
Yeah.
which I'm not qualified for in any way, and it's not therapy, but like it's like it's business therapy,
digging,
you know?
yeah.
Like, okay, well, why did you start this business? Like,
Right.
what do you want? And a lot of the answers are like, I don't know. So it's kind of just even getting to the I don't knows of why people are doing what they do, so that you can have a clear story. If you don't have your this is why, you don't have a business yet.
Yep.
You have to have your this is why. And a lot of folks don't. So that's the first thing that we work on.
Is really just sitting down and going through that.
Yeah.
That process.
Why are you doing this?
Yep.
Why are you baking?
Yep.
Why are you cooking? Why are you opening a flower shop?
Yeah. And even thinking longer, like
Yeah.
what do you want to do in 5 years, or what do you want to do in 10 years?
1,000%.
And especially with both of us being in such a physical
Yeah.
environment of work.
Yeah.
Like, am I going to be, 60 with a long red ponytail
Right?
running around with a Ronin?
Right.
And like flapping in the
I
breeze?
mean, I would love that.
I know it would be really quite funny, but am I? Maybe not. But maybe,
Right.
you just have to think about more long term and like
You
what
do.
you're going to do.
Yeah, you really do.
Okay. So are you primarily doing Mighty Creative in where you are now, or are you coming to Toronto, or like
Yeah,
what's
it's,
kind of the
it's everywhere. So, the nice thing about the county is it's located right in between Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa. So Lady is available for travel.
Yep.
The wedding season is obviously priority one. So I think it'll be something I start focusing a little bit more on in the fall. But I have a couple of clients right now that I'm working with, and it's been really cool.
And you wouldn't necessarily have to travel for all of it, because you
Right.
could have Skypes or FaceTimes, and just
100%.
as long as you're checking in.
Totally.
And then if they need like photo, then you're visiting, obviously.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we end up with, right? So the coaching part always includes photography. So we coach you through figuring out what your brand looks like, what your brand story is, what the why is behind it, and then creating something cohesive at the end, photography wise, that actually encapsulates all of that.
Wow.
So that they can populate all their socials and the web. And like whatever sales materials they need with stuff that actually reflects what they believe and what they care about in their brand.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's obviously a reflection of you and the fact that you care about your brand and you're passionate.
Yeah.
And it's like only once you're passionate that you really want to help other people, right?
Yeah, I think
Because
so.
you're like, look how happy I am.
Yeah.
You guys could have this.
Yeah.
Like, let's work on it.
Yeah.
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 I think that's a special moment.
Thank y'all.
So the team, let's talk team,
Yeah.
because you obviously have a team that you're working with.
Yeah.
So fill me in, you have 5 girls now, or?
Yep.
What?
So there's Barb and Hillary, who are primaries.
Yep.
And then there's Aoife, who
Irish.
Yes, my beloved Aoife, who is editing.
Okay.
And then I've hired a woman in the county who works with me out there. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And so when did you bring on people?
It happened completely by accident. So Barb came on with me 6 years ago as my studio assistant / second shooter.
Okay.
I knew her through the yoga scene, and knew that she was looking for a job. I had seen that she was posting cute photos on Instagram. She was really good at taking pictures on the TTC, like low-key pictures of strangers on the TTC. And I was like,
cool. Storytelling.
Yeah. I was like, this chick is interested in telling stories. That's cool.
Yeah.
She came in, we worked together. We fell in love. It was great. Yeah. It was a great friendship.
Because I've been on with both of you.
Yeah.
You guys are very in sync.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really nice. We don't get to shoot together really anymore because she's so busy too that it doesn't really happen that much. Yeah. But
But she's a reflection of you as well. So you guys are it's a really powerful team.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. I feel really lucky that we've had the opportunity to grow like that together. And then Hillary came on. This will be her second summer shooting solo. So she's been on with us, for 3 years now. And she's great. Like a totally different vibe than Barb. I kind of feel like the trifecta is very different. Like I am very storytelling oriented, very soulful. Barb is a little bit more like editorial, like big stuff. Like a lot about getting those like beauty portraits. And Hillary, on the other hand, is like very romantic. And like more into like the intimate soft moments, which I really love too. So we're all bringing something different and unique to the table, which I really dig, but with the same like quality control and great customer, service stuff and like final packaging and making it really beautiful and tight.
How do you determine who goes with a couple? Do you meet with the couple and then you say based on personality?
No.
Or is it kind of like...
You kind of know. Like... First of all, some people will just request me. Some people will request Barb. Some people will request Hillary.
Because you're following. So people will follow and be like,
and they know.
What she does. Perfect.
Totally.
Awesome.
If I'm already booked, it goes to Barb first because there's seniority there. And then it goes to Hill. Or if it's a smaller, I know Hillary well enough to know that she like really likes soulful, intimate weddings. With like beautiful people who like really, really love each other. Like Hillary, I know is... like the story of the couple, I think really makes a difference to her in terms of like how much like she wants to like love them, which we all should, and like those are her people, So I'm like, a beautiful intimate wedding at Le Select with like 70 people. Yeah, duh. Like that's a Hillary wedding. Like it's perfect.
I'm with her in November.
Are you?
And it's an intimate wedding.
Is it? Yeah. Like I don't know. It just seems to make sense for her from what I know about her personality. And like, I want all of the people who are going out and shooting under, TMP to feel like their souls are being filled as much as mine. Whereas Barb loves travel. Like girlfriend wants to travel all the time. Yes. So, we worked with Mala, who is the eventer. And we created a special pricing package for her clients so that, I could meet Barb's need to travel. And then for me, like I want to be as close to home as possible. So I want to be in Toronto and I love big weddings and like, I love my big Jewish weddings. Like give me all the Jewish weddings. It's like my battery recharges at those weddings. It makes no sense. I don't know why, but they work for me.
They're so big and they're so full of like love.
So full of love.
They are so full of love.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just like, it makes me so happy.
Yeah.
So we all have our little niches in the industry, which is cool too.
I think that's a good thing as a leader is to know what your girls want.
Yeah.
Right? Because then they're going to stay fulfilled and passionate and happy. So
that's the hope.
Good job.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
This ain't easy, right?
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. So in the next few years, are you wanting to continue to expanding or are you kind of...
It's a tough call.
Yeah.
I lean towards no, mostly out of self-preservation and recognizing my own limitations.
Yep.
My focus right now is on me. I'm turning 40. I've had like a bit of a health scare this year and like everything's fine.
Yeah.
But, like when it's
just perspective.
I kind of feel like when the universe knocks on your door, you either answer or you don't. And if you don't, it's going to start breaking your windows.
Right.
So I'd like to keep my house as intact as possible and listen to what my body and my life is saying to me. And my life right now is saying rest. So, I'm trying to spend more time in the county. I'm trying to spend more time with my son and be really robust when I'm back here to shoot for my couples. I don't think that running a studio remotely and shooting 40 weddings a year is good for my health.
Yep.
You know, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Until you do it, you don't realize how much it is.
You have no idea. And it, like, I've really loved it. And oh my God, I've learned so much, and like so much of it's been valuable, but I don't think I'll continue to grow.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think, okay, so naming your business your name, because
Yeah.
I mean, I've done that as
Yeah.
well. I feel like the wedding industry,
Yeah.
it's kind of how it runs. Like everyone's kind of got a business based on their name.
Yeah.
Would you go back and change it, or do you like what you've built?
That's a great question. I struggle with that a little bit because a part of it was me. It was Tara McMullen Photography. It was 2008. There weren't that many people doing wedding photos.
And they all had their own name.
Absolutely.
Everyone that you were working with.
Totally.
Yeah.
Hilariously enough, back when I was developing my branding back in 2008, I had hired an amazing graphic designer. He's the guy who does like all of Balzac's stuff. He's actually a good friend of mine, and like he had just moved here from New York and was like, "Sure, we'll take you on," like tiny girl. And one of my favorite musical artists was Hawksley Workman at the time.
Yes, love. I know
Do you
Hawksley
like-
Workman. Yeah,
Oh
of course
my
I
God.
do. Yeah,
I like you so
I'll use
much.
that for the intro song.
Really? Yes. Amazing. You can use No Sissies for My Love.
Okay. Noted.
So one of the titles of one of his albums was Lover/Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you have to be a lover and a fighter to make a relationship work, because, you know, I was listening to a CBC broadcast once, and like it was this man who'd been married for like 50 something years, and they were like, what is the secret to a long-term relationship? Like, how do you make this last? And his answer was, you can't both give up at the same time. Right? I think it's really true.
Yeah.
So I was like, lover, fighter. And then it got totally like dashed, because you can't have fighter in the name of like a photography company. It's too weird. But like that would have been
Right.
it.
That's where you were.
That's where I was. It was either Tara McMullen Photography or Lover Fighter. You choose.
Yeah.
Glad I chose Tara McMullen Photo. You know, on the other hand, like in terms of sellability, you know, like what Mango is doing, like they could literally pluck everybody out of there and Mango would still exist as Mango. Tara McMullen Photography would not exist as Tara McMullen Photography without this girl.
Yeah.
But that's fine. You know, not everything is meant to last forever.
Yep.
You know, and like I'm not attached to being that forever. I want to be it as long as I can be, and I will always be Tara McMullen, who maybe takes photos. But if Tara McMullen Photography Incorporated as a wedding photography company doesn't always exist,
Right.
it's fine.
And that's why Mighty Creative is born, and
Exactly.
things like that, right? So
Yeah.
you had the other avenues.
Yeah, and there are a lot of things that I can do with my life.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not a one-trick pony. I'm cool.
Sorry.
I got all kinds of stuff in here.
Not a one-trick pony.
Not a one-trick pony.
So non-one-trick pony.
Yes.
What do you think would be like a key piece of advice? Okay, I need two pieces of advice
Yes.
from you.
Okay.
One, from a business standpoint. If I am a photographer and I'm just starting into weddings, what's a business piece of advice and what's an actual photography piece of advice in this day and age, being that it is 2019?
You're a new photographer and you're just starting out and you want one piece of business advice?
Yes. What do I do?
My advice, okay, so I get a lot of inquiries from new photographers wanting to learn. My advice to you is if you are not shooting 40 hours a week, you're probably not a photographer. Like, you need to live with that camera on your body. That needs to be, I feel empty when I don't have a camera in my hand. Like, that thing is an actual extension of my brain.
Yep.
I understand the world, I'm sure you do too, better through your camera than I do when it's off. When I'm off, it's like, that's so big.
Yep.
You know, like I like it through here. I know exactly what I'm doing. Every moment to me, like I'm framing you right now. You know, every moment to me is a framing opportunity.
Yep.
And if you're not automatically doing that already, you need to spend more time with your camera.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because I was similar when I started, and I was going out every weekend and I was shooting and I was seeing different frames of everything. And I have such a like a wide angle, a tight angle kind of lens that I kind of look through.
Right. And like
And
you're
so I
looking
get
at
it.
me and you know exactly
Yeah.
how you would film me right now,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Right.
We're doing it.
We're actually doing it. And then like same with me. Like I know exactly how I would photograph you, right? Like the moment I walked into the room, I was like, that would work. This wouldn't work. Like it's always happening. You're always assessing. And if you're not automatically always assessing, you're not a photographer yet.
Gotcha.
If you're spending a lot of time in Photoshop, you're not a photographer yet. Your work should be done in camera. And then like the cool creative stuff should be happening in Photoshop if that's your jam. But like if you want to be a photographer, you need to know your camera. You need to know all your settings. You need to know all about your lenses. You need to know how to shoot manual. Like it's too easy to just be like, I don't know, like I bought this camera and like no judgment, but you are not a photographer. And if you're trying to be a wedding photographer, you're actually doing a massive disservice to the people who are hiring you if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. Like if on the fly your camera stops working, what do you do? That scares me.
Yeah.
So
well, you have two, right?
Yeah.
You guys are usually strapped up with your little...
Yeah, I know. With our like BDSM.
You were the first one that I saw had that.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that?
I was an early adopter of the whole
But it's a conversation piece, right? Everybody talks about it.
Oh my God, yeah. It was weird for a while.
Yeah.
So that's my advice, like don't buy your camera, take a course at George Brown, and then think that you're a photographer. What you are is an amateur, and that's okay because we've all been there. But get hired on, and get hired on humbly. Like approach wedding photographers in January when they're doing their hiring, and approach them with their own names and their email instead of just like, hey there, I love your stuff. Hey Tara, I really like your work. It speaks to me because of this. I am doing this, and I recognize that I'm junior, but I'm willing to come on paid as a junior to learn whatever I can. And I recognize that the work also that they would be making with me is not theirs. I think that's also really important that you respect the professional boundaries of your mentors.
So if I am new, I got the camera. I've done some second shooting. And now I want to start the business.
Right.
What should I start with first? What's a key piece of advice for business?
So I think it's really easy to receive your first 5 to 10 wedding deposits and feel super wealthy. You are not. So if you are a sole proprietor, all the money that you are earning is being taxed at the personal rate. So you could be paying 30+% of everything that you earn back to the government. And a lot of folks at the beginning of their business will receive their deposits and spend it in that fiscal year. Here's where I get nerdy. So I think it's really important as you're starting to only spend the money that you've earned in this fiscal year. So if you are working in 2019 and booking into 2020, those 2020 deposits don't get spent until January 1st, 2020. You pay your taxes out of your 2019. Otherwise, you're fucked.
100%. Yeah. Yep.
And a lot of people do it.
Yeah. Especially the first year, because you don't even realize, and you don't know what you're going to get taxed. Like it is 30%, but until your end of the year when you're done booking,
right?
And then if you haven't been putting that tax money away,
right,
including your HST money,
puke though. Yeah.
Thankfully, I definitely started a system right off the bat.
Good for you.
Because I was so scared of taxes, I knew that it was going to come down to it and there was going to be a bill. And so I was constantly logging how much HST needed to be put away.
Good for you.
I was putting away more taxes than needed to be put away.
Good for you.
And then when you pay the tax and you have more left in your account.
Right. You buy a new pair of shoes. Everybody's happy. But yeah, I've literally seen people bankrupt themselves, like low key, excellent photographers bankrupt themselves because they haven't tax themselves properly.
Yes.
And it's super scary.
And it's very difficult. So we do a 3-system payment system. Yeah. And everybody has a different structure, but maybe it's deposit and then 50-50 or whatever it is. And so you kind of don't know what months it's coming in. I mean, you do to a certain extent. But I mean, our last portion of payment comes once the film's ready. Right. So, it could be up to 5 months after the wedding.
That's a long time.
And so then at that point, but if you were doing 50-50 and you're getting 50 before the wedding, then you're receiving full payment prior to, like they get their images. Right. And so you really need to be banking that properly. Yeah. 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 It's very true.
Yes.
That's a good piece.
Thanks.
That's a hot tip.
Hot tips from Tara.
Yes, that's the best soundbite. Lovely. Okay, and one last question because I like this one.
Yeah.
But how do you define success? Like, it's very obvious that you're very passionate and you're very happy and you're a pleasure to just be around in general.
Thanks.
And so I think you like to pass that on to people as we're hearing, right? Because you want to help other people.
Yeah.
But, like, what's your definition of success? And do you feel happy in what you're doing right now?
So this doesn't answer your question, but I will. I've always had a mantra written on my wall that there is enough success for everyone. I feel truly, deeply, madly that success is infinite. So for that person out there who's feeling jealous or threatened or unsure because someone else seems to be doing it better, they're not. There is enough success for you too. Mm-hmm. Success to me is feeling like I have imprinted something beautiful on a person. You know, if I've walked away from an interaction, whether it's personal or professional, and have given something positive to that person, that's success for me. You know, like success with money will come and go. And I can't allow money to have that much power over my life. Mm-hmm. Success for me is being a good person and leaving good feeling wherever I go.
So leaving people with a positive feeling.
Yeah.
How important is positivity to you?
Extremely important.
As soon as you see negative, do you run or what?
No, I run towards it.
You run towards it to try and help?
Yeah, it's not so much about wanting to help, but if I'm feeling negative, which we all do, mm-hmm. I think it's really important to examine what that negativity is, and work it out. Yep. You know, conflict is going to be a part of our lives no matter who we are, no matter what stage we're in. And, you know, as you get older, there's more opportunities for conflict because there are more people in your life. There's more stuff going on. Mm-hmm. And people have bigger feelings the older they get. So I think, you know, you can look at negativity or something bad happening to you as a commentary on you being a shitty person. Or you can look at it as, okay, I have to learn from this. I have to grow from this. And then I'm going to take this growth and this learning forward and help other people, or just change my entire perspective on one certain thing, or change the way that I approach another person because I wasn't sensitive enough to that person. Like, especially raising a kid, I'm realizing that people really understand the world in such completely different ways. Right. You know, something that feels like nothing to me would devastate you, right, or vice versa. So I'm working really hard on becoming more sensitive to that. So like that feels like a success to me, you know, like my successes are a lot smaller. Yeah. You know, like I could own 7 houses and, you know, like be driven around by like a hot man, this hot topless guy. Like, I don't know.
That'd be all right.
Whatever. Who like feeds me bonbons in the backseat. Like, you know, to some people that's a measure of success. My measure of success is, am I a good mom? Am I a good friend? Am I leaving people better than I found them? Mm-hmm. And if the answers to that are yes, then I'm good.
I think as you get older too, you start, when you reflect, when you properly do the reflection, then you become more self-aware. Yes. And then that way you're able to work out what's going on. Yeah. But it's sometimes when you don't internalize what's happening in a negative situation, then you just don't do anything about it. Yeah. And then you sit with that. Yeah. And it festers.
You get the stew, you get the festering witch's brew.
And then you drive around Toronto and honk your horn. Right. Because you're angry.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So the more you reflect, the better off you be. But it takes skill to learn that stuff.
100%.
Is there a book that you've read that's been like a game changer for you?
I just listened to Girl Wash Your Face, which I really enjoyed.
Okay. I've heard of it. Yeah. I haven't read that one.
Yeah, I was into it. It was good. She one of her chapters is about workaholism, which I really identified with. Mm-hmm. You know, she said, one of the things that she said was something along the lines of like, the idea of sitting still and doing nothing made my skin crawl.
Amen. I feel the same.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's actually not good. Yeah. You know, and like, I really identified with that. When I moved to the county, I've had like a full emotional breakdown because I wasn't working as much.
Because it was so still.
It was so still. I was all of a sudden confronted with my partner, who I didn't get to spend that much time with, and my son, who had been in daycare and who was now full-time with me. And my business was kind of still happening in the city with my staff, which was amazing. But I was like, who am I? If I am not my work, who am I? And the answer was like, not a lot of anything.
Right.
You know? So the last couple of years has been rebuilding a human being into this.
Right.
And I'm still very much a work in progress. But I started from essentially a very broken adult and have worked really hard to put myself back together. And that's another measure of success for me, you know, is that I've recognized my failures, and I fail at something every day. But those failures for me are opportunities, again, to grow and do better.
And it'll always happen, just be the course of life,
100%.
right?
Absolutely.
It's progression of like the change, because you're never going to stay the same. No one's ever going to stay the same. I am more like, if I'm sitting, I'm just not really the type to sit and watch TV. That kind of stuff makes my skin crawl.
Me too.
I don't consider myself a workaholic because I love what I'm doing.
Good.
And so for me, it's really fun to be creating edits and storytelling. But I do need that outlet of like my own personal fun, which is like for me sports and stuff like that, where I feel happy. But it's unfortunate when some people think that you're a workaholic, but it's like, but I don't feel like I'm a workaholic because I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
Right.
So you just are enjoying the process of it.
You will arrive to a place where you either recognize that you're a workaholic or you recognize that you're completely not. And like, that's your path in your journey. And if you're happy, do you. You know, like life is yours.
Very true.
Yeah.
Life is yours.
Yes.
All right. Do you have any other tips that you'd like to leave our audience with before we go?
I would like to pose the question to future guests, where they think the wedding industry is going collectively. Are we headed towards multi-million-dollar weddings in Toronto? Are we headed towards a return to small? Are we going to see a real fall off of some of the newbies, like because I kind of see it as like, there's like thousands of like tinies, and then there's like the people who have been around for a while, and then there's like the core folk. Like, what's going to happen to these guys? Are they going to make it? And then we're just going to be totally flooded? Or are we going to see that like kind of fall off because they're not making enough money? And I don't know how charging $1,500 for weddings makes sense. So that would be my question. Like, where are we heading, and where are we heading as like a group of industry people as well?
Great question.
Thanks.
I like that. Now I'm going to think about that all day.
Yeah, I know. I want to know what you think.
Yeah, because you've been thinking about it, obviously, right?
Yeah.
I wonder that too, just because you see so many different weddings happening. You see big weddings, you see small ones, and it's what's becoming more like intimate. Almost feels like it's on its way back in, if it was ever initially the way.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I think about 2012. 2012 was like my golden year, because like everything was like relatively intimate, but the budgets were still good. Nothing was crazy. Like, it was low drama. I love 2012.
You know why I think it's different now?
Yeah.
Social.
Yeah. I know.
Because everybody's doing the upgrade.
We're all doing it for the social.
And that's why smaller ones have come into play, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because everybody can be found now.
Right.
A lot easier.
Yeah. So are we going to move away from social media? Like, I'm already feeling a lot of like ennui about social media.
Like moving away from it altogether?
Yeah. Like, do you think that people are going to start disengaging?
No.
You think it's going to keep going?
I think it's going to get worse. Not worse, because I enjoy social media.
Yeah.
But I think it's about to completely blow up, essentially. But I think that it's going to change. So I don't think that Instagram is going to be it forever. Yeah. Because people are going to get bored. Like, already you can see the progression of nobody scrolls anymore. Everybody's stories. Yeah. And they're flipping like
so fast.
Crazy. Nobody's really watching.
Right.
But there has to be a platform where you're continuously advertising. Because Instagram wasn't for business when it first started. I know. So...
But now it's like all business.
Now it's all business. Yeah. Which has been good.
It's been great.
Yeah. But are you Twitter?
No.
I feel like Twitter's... Yeah.
Isn't it? I don't know. I don't know enough. Like, I'm also not in like news media. Right. I feel like there's an area where Twitter is still like very important.
I believe that as well. Yeah, I just don't see it for wedding that people aren't Twitter looking for things.
No.
Pinterest?
Yes, but I don't really understand the Pinterest situation.
Yeah.
It's not really been my area.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like very old school about a lot of stuff. Like, I'm an early adopter of many things, but I don't go the whole hog, you know? Like, I have no interest at this moment of making myself like a social media brand.
Right.
It's not my jam.
Yeah.
I just want to make beautiful photos and people will find me because they love my work.
Right.
I don't want them to hire me because they think I'm cute, you know? That's not where I'm going. But yeah, like I'm excited to see how we as a society will continue to share and grow with each other online. But hopefully wrapping some more positivity into it instead of the like the hit for likes.
Right.
You know, like
which they're starting to move away from.
Which I like.
Yeah.
You know, I think that a lot of us, including me, we're depending on that like for that endorphin hit, you know, like that little serotonin, like beep, I feel good now.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Do you think, and honestly, okay, so I think about future and weddings in a video perspective.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be surprised, probably not in my lifetime, but what if they actually did VR where you don't need to actually physically go to a wedding and you put on goggles and you see something happen?
Oh my God.
Do you think?
100%.
I do. Yeah. I think you'll be able to build your own wedding, like almost like a game.
Yeah.
And if everyone's gonna have a VR headset or whatever it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Headsets probably are gonna look like floppy disks.
Yeah.
In whenever.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you'll be able to just log in to Ben and Jenny's wedding, and you'll be able to sit and watch it happen, and you won't even need to be present.
But who's sending the booze over?
That's a great question. They'll probably come with gloves and you can,
right?
I don't know.
Like you just get like ding dong and like everyone just like gets like 12 drinks. You get 2 plates of food from Uber Eats and everyone just like virtually engages with Jenny's wedding.
Do you think?
It's actually so possible.
Do you think that, I honestly don't think this would happen at any time in the next like 50 years.
Yeah.
But do you think that like eventually we become so desocialized that it would be like, I get to stay home.
The sociologist in me is like, oh my
God. Like you get to stay home and watch it from your couch? Because
I mean, possibly.
I don't know.
I see a real return actually away from that. Like I feel like there's going to be a generation of children growing up now that will have seen their parents buried in their phones and want nothing the fuck to do with it.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I do. And I think that there's going to be a real divide between like the city and the country life. Like I think that people are going to want either very simple or very complicated lives.
It's only going to keep getting bigger here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a really interesting divide. It's already starting to happen. Like so many people are moving like out into the country and starting to homestead and things like that and like homeschool their kids. Like homeschooling has become like huge.
Is it?
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if Lockie, like when he grows up, he'll be like, oh, I don't want to be like on a phone. My mom was always on a phone, you know, which I try not to be. But I remember my dad. My dad had like one of the first cell phones. He had like a battery pack. And it like hung a phone on him. And he was always like, oh, this is Steve McMullen. And I was like,
Did it have a cord?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did it expire the cord?
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to burn that thing.
So and he was carrying around a wall unit.
He was literally carrying around a wall unit with a battery on it. It was out of control.
That's amazing.
So, but I developed such an aversion to it because he was on it all the time. And it took place of, you know, interaction with me or my brother or my mom. And I do wonder if this generation is going to grow up and be like, fuck that noise. Like, I'm going to read books. I'm going to be outside because my parents gave us iPad. My parents, you know, were always on their phone and I don't feel like I had enough time with them. Like that'll be the therapy topic of the future, I think, for our generation. So I'm kind of hoping that we're actually going to see a return to like real life interaction.
More engagement.
Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed.
I know.
But I'm glad you've come to engage with me today.
Thanks. Oh my God.
So thank you for coming because this has been super fun.
Yeah, this has been great.
And please come back.
I would love to.
This is ongoing. So we can pick a topic and we'll have you in the winter after the season.
Yeah, I would love that. I have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So let's get it out.
Let's do it.
Okay.
High five, girl.
High five.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Say goodbye to everyone.
Goodbye.
It's not awkward.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.